What is up, guys, and welcome to this castle game. And today I have a very exciting recording I got sent to me here by McCleves, playing as the Hausa, spawning here in the southwest. And then we have his opponent here, which is Klaus Blomq, and he's in the northeast playing as Germany. So this is a quite interesting matchup. Now, I do think that this is a great matchup for Hausa because, well, Hausa can actually really well deal with those Ulans because they have this Age II anti-cav, which is the Javelin, of course. Also, if you do like a raider start with Hausa, you do tend to get like 5 raiders at the point where they get the 2 Ulans, so you can actually do quite a nice trade. So we see McCleves here going for that XP treasure here in the beginning, and this is just such a good treasure. Like at Hausa, because you have that worse XP curve, you definitely want to get these types of treasures. Now, unfortunately, he didn't get the kill on the first one. Mother Nature got that kill, so that's a bit unfortunate, missing out on a bit of experience, but he's going to be really happy with that treasure. Now, he is getting the village dogs and building the house, of course, the classic start. And he's going to do a bit of a different strategy in this video, so it will be interesting to see exactly what it does. And as you can see, his deck is called Sashua Cav Rush. Now, this card, I have no idea how to pronounce that, is this card. So, this card would actually ship 1 Lifidi Knight per palace you own, so the fort you own, and then 1 raider per war camp and watchtower. So the idea is, if you want to use this card, you really want to get a lot of war camp, towers, and palaces out. So we can actually see him actually going for the Hausa Kingdom immediately. So he won't get the H2 benefit, so he will just get a university builder. So that's really unusual. Usually you see 3 villagers here. And he also has the H1 palace builder here. And this card used to be quite popular to gain map control early, but when they removed the village card in H2, people really stopped using this card because you really needed to use the villagers in H1. So I haven't really seen this card a lot, but I guess together with this card, the Sashua Cavalry, it could actually work quite well. So he built the university here inside of the base. Now, he of course wants that bonus gather yield from the town center. They actually set it to XP, so he will get these next shipments a lot quicker. And that is because, of course, he wants to get this palace builder out, I would assume. So we'll see what he does now. Yeah, he sent the palace builder, and he's actually going to build a TP with his explorers. So I bet we'll see the palace builder here actually defending that TP, but we'll see what happens. Meanwhile, we see the German player is doing nothing special here. He's just gathering that food, is almost up. He did send the settler wagons, of course. Such a good card, like a 4 villager card. Meanwhile, House has the 4 villager card in H2. But yeah, for some reason, Germany has it in H1. And he hasn't done a great job of herding here, so he's gonna probably have some trouble with herds because this herd is really far away. I don't know if he sees this herd, so no, he doesn't actually. So at this point, I would be quite alarmed if I was Germany. I would really try to scout this area to really find and start herding in that herd, because if he doesn't herd in a herd, he can really be in a bit of a trouble. So he's actually aging up now, and he's aging up with the quartermaster, so that's the wood, I'm pretty sure. Meanwhile, we see him dropping down a market, and we can also see McCleves here. He's actually just walking around thinking about this treasure. It's of course really nice 80 wood treasure. I would definitely go for that. And at the same time, he is aging up with Hausa. So Hausa will grant you the 300 wood, and which is always great if you want to do any strategy that involves building a lot of buildings, which he does in this case. And it's also going to grant him the ability to build the kingdom builders from the town center. So for 400 influence, you can build a palace builder. And for 200 influence, if I'm not mistaken, you can build the TP wagon, which is also quite nice, although not as nice, I would say. But he has another shipment stacked up, and probably he doesn't want to send Polaco Code, because Polaco Code really skates well with a lot of villagers, and since he didn't send the 3 bills, Polaco Code just isn't that great of a card right now. And I bet we'll see him actually go for something like the Palace of Amina once he ages up, but we'll see. So the H-up is in now. He has the 300 wood here. He's using his Hausa builder here, and we'll probably see a war camp here. Yeah, he sent the war camp. and he's gonna gather that wood, and he actually sent also the Palace of Amina, so we will get the 300 influence and the palace builder. So we'll probably see him drop down a palace here next to this university just to get that bit of extra trickle rate here. And we can also see, yes, this TP on XP and this one on influence now actually. So he switched over to influence. He probably did that because he already got his Palace of Mina shipment in. Now it's not as much of a rush to get the shipments in because it's only unit shipments from here. But we'll see where he places this palace and what he does with the influence. So he sets the palace down here, which is of course to get that nice trickle rate. Meanwhile, we're training some raiders here, and he's actually getting a full batch out, so that's really nice now. The macro is looking really good right now. The only thing is really stacking is the influence. So I wonder what we'll see him do with the influence. And there it is, he built the palace builder. So on this map you actually have the Rattan shields. Now these units are decent, but well, it's definitely one of the worst native trading posts in my opinion, and especially for Hausa, because the Raiders is always such a good cavalry unit in H2 that there isn't much of a point going for Rattan shields. Now we do see him pick off those 2 Ulans, and this is exactly what I said earlier. Like in this matchup, this tends to happen a lot. Like the 2 Ulan comes out, but if you go 5 Raiders start, then you'll always win the trade. And you can see here McCleves just picking up a treasury 75 coin, and these units do have bonus damage against treasure guardians, so double attack against guardians, so you definitely want to pick up treasures with the raiders. Now we got some reinforcing raiders here. He's sending the 5 raiders, we'll probably pop them out here actually, and we do see a bit of pikes here, which is really good because it counters this really well, but I just think it's too few pikes. He's just committed to the palace way too early, and that area effect damage is just doing a lot of damage, and probably honestly want to put these in cover mode as well once you're under the palace, but he didn't, and he actually lost a lot of units there for not a lot of damage. Now preferably we would heal this up, but yeah, it's just going back before McCleves have a chance to heal it up, and this point is actually looking quite good for the German player, but he needs to try to deal with this cavalry, and the thing is, as long as he's sieging, McCleves can just kill as many as he wants. And now we see the card here, Sashua cavalry card, and we'll actually see 2 raiders and 3 Lifidis pop. So you got the 3 palaces here, and you got the 2 war camps here. So now it's actually a really good shipment. Now the question is it worth it? Like, he did skip the 3 bills, and the palaces here back in the base don't do a whole lot, at least not this one, because it's not trickling resources. But now we see the Lifidis coming in, and these units are so strong. So they have 375 HP, 25 attack. So they basically have a similar attack to the Raiders, but the difference is they have more than twice the HP. So these are really just great units and really powerful cavalry. They're basically better than 2 Raiders. So with that shipment, they essentially got the equivalent of 6 plus 2 Raiders. So yeah, quite a lot of value actually. Meanwhile, he's still training raiders, and if you take a look at the German player, he's just training those pikes, and he needs to get the mass of pikes. Like, he really needs to avoid walking out with a few at a time like this. He wants to gather like a lot of them, and I think he's gonna need to add some ranged units as well at some point, because the problem is if McCleves adds any ranged units right now, then these pikes are just doomed. So we can actually see the 8th Fulani shipment, and yeah, as I said that, oh, the 7th Fulani shipment is coming in. So yeah, this is just going to be a great shipment to deal with these pikes, and they will just be able to shut down all the pikes. And once again, I think Germany just has too few pikes to actually commit here, and it's just really unfortunate. And he has these extra pikes trickling in here, but and even more pikes here, but he just didn't wait for the reinforcements, and it's going to cost him this fight, because these cavalry units are just such high hand attack. McCleves can actually just take this trade because of its sheer numbers. Now maybe this trade wasn't that good resource wise for McCleves, but because he has this huge mass still, he really has the upper hand. And now we got the archers out as well, so the German player is gonna need something else than pikes to deal with this actually, and I wonder what he will do. And we also see some anti-cav being added here, the javelin riders, which is good actually because McCleves do need some ranged units. Has so much melee cav right now. Meanwhile, we see the German player here is going for amalgamation, so that's quite greedy actually. So he's thinking about staying in H2 and trying to battle this out. He's sending the extra coin and training Doppler soldiers. Now these are really coin heavy, so but actually really good against the cavalry units. I think if he would have went for the 700 coin and Doppler soldiers immediately and just skipped the wood shipment, that would have probably been worked way better, because the Doppler soldiers also have like insane siege. He would have probably been actually able to get that palace down. So you see, one single Doppler soldiers have 60 siege attack. Compare that to the raider, which is a siege unit, has only 26. So yeah, they just have a huge siege. But the problem is he can't really get in close to these Fulani archers, and they can just pick off the Doppler soldiers. So he really needs some melee cav to get in range here and to snare. So I think we'll probably see him adding some Ulans soon, but who knows. And at the same time he's training more Doppler soldiers, so if he gets a good pop here, actually if McCleves gets stuck here and he gets a good pop, then that could actually turn the tide. But it doesn't look like it. Like, he really needs to bait McCleves in at this point and just be walk back with the units a bit. But it doesn't look like it's gonna get a great pop. Yeah, the Doppler soldiers comes out, and yeah, the problem right now is still this Fulani. It has no way of dealing with the Fulanis. But because he sent, he probably wants to actually send the German housing soon as well, because he's really close to being housed, and the problem is he really don't want to spend all that wood on the stable. So at this point that would actually be like a 600 wood shipment and actually then some, because you get the bonus of building all the future houses as well. But the problem is the German deck just isn't very well versed here for H2 play, because he has these upgrade cards. He really wants to be in H3. Here's where the magic happens with the skirms, the Ulans, the war wagons, the mercenary shipment. So I think at this point he's quite stuck, and now he needs to send the 8 crossbowmen, but the 8 crossbowmen not gonna do a whole lot because they don't really counter anything in this composition right now. He is building like a quite significant mass of the Doppler soldiers, but the problem is he still needs something to snare, and he's actually built now a stable here so we can get some Ulans out, and I think that's great. Like, the Ulans is definitely what he needs right now, because he needs to be able to snare this cavalry so he can get these Doppler soldiers in range. But you want to be careful here. He doesn't want to walk around like this, because he's gonna get picked off if McCleves is on the ball here with the cavalry. At the same time he's moving out with his civils, he's just gathering gold here, and I think McCleves really needs to run around with a few of his cav right now. There's so much heavy cav. Like, imagine McCleves just running around here and finding these villagers. That would just be a great way to shut down Germany. Also, we see here Germany walking out to this herd, but McCleves is shutting this side down, which is great. But he does get a good connect here with the Ulans actually. Now McCleves getting a bit out of position, but at the same time here's the problem. Like, he can't really commit with the Doppler soldiers because there's just too much of these archers. But I say that, and then he gets into the melee range of the archers, which isn't great. And actually we see McCleves losing all of his archers here, which is a bit unfortunate. Meanwhile, we see crossbow here on the back line. The problem is these crossbows don't really counter anything. He really wants to use the crossbows here on the light cavalry, but because they're not gonna do a lot of damage on either the griots or the Fulanis or the cavalry. So, and now he doesn't have any anti-cav left, and that means he's gonna lose all of this crossbow. And at this point it's just looking really good for McCleves. McCleves have been careful not to overcommit, but I say that, and then 10 Doppler soldiers more pop out here out of nowhere. But McCleves was really on the ball, and fortunately for him he managed to escape. Like, imagine if McCleves was just looking at his eco for a second there, then he could have definitely lost the whole army here. But so McCleves has to move back a bit, and he wants to get some reinforcing units. He's got a lot of raiders, but the problem is the Doppler soldiers are just so good versus the raiders, so he needs some ranged units. And also I would love to see him get like the stagecoach here. Like, he has the 2 TPs. What if he maybe sold the cattle for wood, got another TP? And I say that, and as I say it, he actually just put out another TP. So he actually got the Trovos here using his influence. So he's building out all of these TPs now which is just a great option here. Like if you're prolonged H2 and especially a map like this with such a good TP, if you have the map control, you definitely want to go for those TPs. And he hasn't actually healed up his palace, and these top soldiers will actually make short work of this palace if they get in range. So I wonder if we'll see him connect here. No, he looks like he's just moving back. And we can also see McCleves adding some more flanny, which is also really what he needs. He really wants to get that critical mass where he can insta-kill a top soldier from range. But he will need a few more, and he's quite low on wood, so we need some more workers here on wood to get that working. Once again, we see the German villagers moving out here, and we also see some raids here in the back. And now, fortunately for McCleves, he has some units here, so that raid's gonna be shut down. But that's just a really nice way to get back in the game. Like if you're Germany, make sure to always raid. Like there's so many villagers here that could go down. It could be basically 13 villagers if you just send a few Uhlans here. Meanwhile, we see a push here in the middle with the doppel soldiers, and because this palace isn't healed up, it's actually gonna get this palace down, it looks like. But I say that, and as I'm saying that, we're actually seeing a lot of units here move in, and oh yeah, McCleves don't really want to take that fight because the doppel soldiers is so good versus the cavalry here with the 3 times multiplier, essentially doing 60 damage per swing, also with the area of effect damage. But now we see the cavalry getting onto the archers here. There's not a ton of anti-cav here, but the raiders will still win because of the huge mass. And we see some extra anti-cav coming in here. Now, if you just use this to target the Uhlans, then it's GG, I think. And as you can see, Hausa here winning quite decisively. Now, at this point, it was probably purely because of the greater numbers. And we see the German player sending the GG. So I think that's just a great example of how you can use the Lifidi Knights here in H2 and just get like really strong cavalry and putting that pressure on, getting map control. And I think if you manage to get the German player to stay H2, then it's quite easy to win as Hausa, because Hausa is just a way better H2 civ compared to Germany. But if they do get into H3, that's where you have the trouble with the war wagons, the skirms, and the falconets. But also make sure, if you have the cavalry, make sure just go around the raiders, try to get the villagers out. We see here villagers on the sides, and if we would have been able to deny those villagers, that would have been a GG much earlier, I think. But overall, really nice play by McCleves here, not overcommitting and utilizing the cavalry really well, even against anti-cav, just having a few range units to pick off the pikeman. And I think it just worked really well in this game. And that was it for this game, but I hope you enjoyed this game and tried this strategy out. It's always really interesting to see these unique strategies, and McCleves is really good with finding out awesome strategies with Hausa. But anyways, I'll see you guys in the next video.